Hey, real estate investors, James Wise here. Now, I know a lot of you come to this channel because of our most popular show, Tenants from Hell. For all of you that love that Tenants from Hell show, what we're going to do today, we're going to turn the tables a bit. We're going to do something a little different. Today, we are launching the very first episode of our newest show, Landlords from Hell. Let's dive in. That the very first episode of the Landlords from Hell show comes at you with a bang. We went out and brought on Brad Larsen from PropertyManagementMastermind.com to tell us what actually makes someone a landlord from hell. Hey, real estate investors, like I said, I am on the line with my man, Brad Larsen. He's out in Texas. Brad is a property manager and he runs PropertyManagementMastermind.com. Before I let you guys know how I came across Brad, how I decided that we needed to interview Brad for the Landlords from Hell show, Brad, can you just, quickly for my audience here, let them know what's the deal? What is PropertyManagementMastermind.com? What's going on with that?
So the PropertyManagementMastermind.com, it came out of, it was born out of necessity to put good information out there for property management company owners. And the reason we're talking today is because I wrote an article called The C-Class Landlord. And it is kind of a self-diagnostic for landlords to look at themselves to say, are they being too hard on property management companies? Because it's a tough job. We have a tough job. We're stuck in the middle. And we manage, like I said in the prep, we own a company called RentWerx. It's here in San Antonio and Austin. We manage close to 900 single-family homes. So we've been doing this for nearly a decade, and we understand what's going on between both sides of it, and we've seen everything. So the Landlord from Hell show, we could go on and on and on.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Like, guys, HoltonWise, as you know, we run a huge portfolio here in Cleveland. Brad doing something similar down there in Texas. And I tell you guys all the time, because I get a lot of people that come in and they go to our Google page and they might see negative reviews. A lot of them are from the tenant side. And what people don't understand about being a property management company is we are essentially a punching bag. We're getting jammed from this side and this side. You take a landlord and a tenant. These are two opposing sides, and our job as property managers are to get them to work together, but they both have, interests that are completely opposite of one another. So I was on the internet and I saw Brad published an article about this, the C-Class Landlord. He essentially graded landlords on an A to C scale, and I fucking love this thing. It was probably the best article I've read in a long time. So, Brad, can you kind of go into them, like the differences between an A landlord, a B landlord, and, the worst of all, a C landlord?
Sure. So a lot of this comes from experience from what we're doing. And we started to grade these landlords just as kind of like, so we know internally when we're talking with each other. Like, hey, how is that person? Are they a B? Could we get them up to an A? Or are they a C-class slumlord person? And when we're dealing with these things, you got to understand, you got to reiterate this to your audience, is that we're dealing with people's two most emotional things in the world, their homes and their money. And so we're stuck in the middle of that. I mean, everybody will get fired up over, you mess with my money or you mess with my home, it's go time. And so I can understand where the reviews come from. But yeah, the Class A side, I mean, we can go through these and I can talk through them. So the Class A landlord, they're looking to hire an actual property manager to provide them a level of protection from these crazy tenants out there. These tenants that will call you at 2 a.m. and tell you their life story or just cause you all kinds of heartache. They want that level of separation and they understand it and appreciate it. An A-class landlord gets that part. And they also understand there's a cost involved. And so they may be spending X dollars an hour to hire a property manager, but that frees up their time to go find XXX dollars an hour in investments, in other properties, in other ventures. So it frees up their time. Let's say they're spending 20 to go out and make 2,000. That's an analogy I use there. So there's just a couple things on the Class A side that we can go into, but most of the time, as you can understand, they're good property management company property management landlords that want to work with us. And the landlords themselves realize that this is a valuable service. They want to make more money and they want to buy more investments. And so they're starting to realize as we get other programs rolled out, like pocket listings and investor programs, that if they treat us well, we try to treat them well by giving them more deals.
Yeah. So agree with everything you're saying. So on your grading scale, the A-class landlord, that is the landlord that comprehends, this is a give-take business relationship. Both parties need to get something out of it. You as a property management professional are freeing up their most valuable resource, which is their time. And you're also insulating them from tenants who, when things go south or just in general, they can be a huge suck on that time. So they really value the products and the services that you're providing them. I assume that your company, when you are screening out potential clients, because see, this is the thing about the real estate business that a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of people, they equate all businesses the same. Like say you go to Applebee's, right? Applebee's doesn't turn people away. Anybody who goes to Applebee's to order a dinner, they will do anything and everything they can to sell you that dinner. But when we're in the real estate investment space, guys, vendors like us, successful vendors that have been around for a long time, like my company, like Brad's businesses, we are going to screen you just as you're going to screen us. So Brad, I assume your goal is to work primarily with those A-class landlords?
Absolutely. We focus that on the type of homes that we manage. We stay away from the lower end homes. You're dealing with lower end tenants, which is difficult. I mean, just to elaborate on that, it's very difficult for a property management company to rent lower end units because the lower end tenants don't come to us expecting that we're going to approve their credit, look past the 27 felonies, the 4 pit bulls, and their last 3 evictions. Okay, they know they can't BS us, but they can walk up to an individual landlord owner and they say, "Oh yeah, you're a mark. You are a sucker. I'm going to tell you my life story. I'm going to give you a bunch of bloody $1 bills that I just stole from a mugging, and I'm going to give you a security deposit to move into this unit." And individual landlords doing self-management fall victim to that all the time. They fall victim to the story. "Oh, dude, bro, don't check my credit, bro. I'm good. I'll pay you in cash." They fall victim to it all the time because they feel good, right? Air quotes, feel good about the potential applicants. Naturally, we steer away from that. We want to go to the higher end type of clientele. We want to get up to the scale of where we're managing homes at a very high rate as far as the average. We're about $400 or $500 more on average per home that we manage than some of the others in town. So another average might be $1,000 or $1,100. We're in the $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 range for average rental properties here in this market and in Austin. So the San Antonio, Austin market are very healthy for this. A lot of things we can keep going on this with answering that question, but to the end, to answer your question, we want to go to the high end market because of the ease of use with those applicants and tenants, and also the owners are pretty good. I mean, there are a few difficult ones. And here's a good question to ask. So if you go do an in-home appointment and you look at a wall and say, "You know what, I think we probably want to fix that wall because there's a gaping hole in the sheetrock," and depending on how that landlord answers that, will almost automatically give them a grade. So if that landlord says, "I don't have any money to fix that at all," wait a minute, we got to fix that. Or if they say, "I don't want to pay for any of the property code things that you need. I'm not going to pay for any deadbolts that are required by law. I don't give a darn about smoke detectors." We know that that's not a right fit for us. That's the term we like to use, not a right fit. It's not you, it's me. That type of. We start asking some of those questions you can tell by the answers. If landlords are listening out there, be ready to do what it takes to rent your home out properly and be glad about the expense that it takes. So one thing that we have to be thankful for, you and I, potentially in the states we operate in, is it's not as bad as it could be. I mean, we start talking mandated rent control, that's a whole nother episode that you and I can riff on just on that alone.
Absolutely. So piggybacking off of that answer then a little bit, like let's go down a level, right? Let's start getting into those landlords from hell. So, let's talk about the B and then let's get into the C. Like when you see that, hole in the sheetrock and the guy's like, "Oh, I really don't have the money to fix that." Where does that put them in? What would that person be? Would that be a B class landlord?
They're really going to be at the bottom end. If they don't have any money to make repairs, that puts them in a C class situation to where they're just not a good fit. It's the B class ones. It really kind of depends on their answers on how you figure you can work with them. And I don't mean to classify people as a negative thing. It's just that there are certain bells and whistles that go off when we start hearing key phrases such as, I don't want to pay for that, or I can't pay for that, or I don't have any money, or I need a tenant tomorrow, or I need you to falsify this contract so I can close on my other home. I need you to falsify a lease agreement for me. So there's a lots of weird things that go on. One of the other things I mentioned was just on how they shop for a property manager, right? Depending on how they even go around. Well, I'm looking at the property manager down the street and they're $5 a month cheaper than you. Can you match or beat that? We don't negotiate. We have multi-tier pricing levels and they can pick a pricing level if they want. We really don't negotiate at all. So when you start hearing things like that, hey, would you come down $5 or $10 a month? That's pretty cheesy, man. I mean, to try and negotiate down, certain things. The other part is
real quick, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but guys, that is a key point. Okay. That $5 a month, that fee, that is an irrelevant fee when we are talking about this business. And I know running a $50 million portfolio up here in Cleveland, HoltonWise, we have the same stance. We will not negotiate on our pricing. We put our pricing right out there available for your download, and it's non-negotiable. So think about it like this, guys. Brad, been in the game a long time. I've been in the game a long time, running huge portfolios. If you're going to spend that time and that effort trying to get $5 off a month on your management fee, people like Brad and people like me, we're not really interested in having our companies service your accounts. So what is that going to leave you to do, guys? That's going to leave you to work with those other companies out there that are willing to do more work for much less pay, much less than a fair pay. Because, the market sets the prices, guys. Me and Brad, if we could, we'd probably charge you 10 times as much as we could, because, as much as we do right now, because we're all in business to make money. Just like your rentals. If you're renting it for $1,000, but if the market meant that you can rent it for $5,000, you would do it, right? So fair market pricing is pretty much setting what people like Brad and myself are charging you. But when you get into those people that are willing to deviate from that and keep slashing it, keep competing all the way down to zero, you got to ask yourself, why does that company, why does that individual, why can they not charge what the other legitimate companies, in the industry are charging? And I'm going to tell you right here, right now, and I think, Brad, you're going to agree with me, by, trying to save that extra $5 and working with someone who's not prepared or doesn't have systems and processes and automation in their business and infrastructure in place like we do, is that investor, are they really saving that $5 or are they losing it 10 times over?
I feel they're losing it 10 times over. They just don't realize it yet. There's lots of ways to lose money as a landlord working with a property management company that is less than par. There are lots of realtors out there who are the most dangerous animal on the planet. It's a realtor who's wanting to act like a property manager. The ones that don't manage any real properties, they're like, I can manage it. I'll just lease it real quick. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to actually screen somebody the properly correct way that's legally okay to do this. They don't know how to write a lease agreement. They don't know how to execute a good lease agreement that protects the owners. I've seen some with so many holes in them. It's absolutely crazy where they come over from us. Hey, I signed up with a realtor down the street. They were with X company and here's their lease agreement. I look at it, it's like, wow, you are so exposed. It's not even funny. Here's why, 1, 2, 10, all these reasons they didn't even fill in the blanks correctly of a state approved form. So let's talk about this fair market pricing thing. Another way to sniff out the B-class landlords is the way they react to bids for maintenance or bids for make-readies. I mean, that's where you start to think of, okay, you're wasting our time. You're wanting us to compete with ourselves. You're wanting 3 bids for the easiest type repair. You don't want to approve anything unless you have a in-writing bid, and you don't want to approve it. And it's ridiculous, some of these requests that we get from landlords. Now, we have
it'd be like swapping out a toilet, just something that you got to do right then and there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we've had some crazy requests. There's lots of good stories on that. So I'll give you a couple. One is we had a landlord. I know you love stories. This is probably the point of this, but so we had a landlord who wanted to do it themselves, right? Of course, they wanted to come in, do their own make ready, get it all done, and then they were going to put it on the market with us. So great. They flew in from California. Okay. They spent 6 weeks here doing a make ready. We could have done in 2 weeks. They didn't even get to it for a month into it. So when they were finally done, no kidding, 4 months later, they were finally done. They spent maybe the same amount of money that we'd have had them charge. We'd have charged them to do the make ready, but they lost 4 months off the market and doing it themselves. So,
yeah, That's just mind-boggling. But it's not like that rare. We have also experienced the landlord who does that exact same thing. And another thing that landlords aren't thinking about when they're doing that, as Brad said, you lose out because you lost 4 weeks of marketing time. But don't forget about this, guys. Not only that, you had to pay to fly out there, but what about your opportunity costs? How much money could you have made working your day job that paid for that rental property in the first place? So odds are good that that landlord actually probably lost over $10,000 of lost income dicking around with flying down to do something in an inefficient manner when I'm sure Brad's team could have popped in there, got it done. Because again, guys, you deal with quality companies, processes, systems, infrastructure, project flow. You're just throwing all that off and losing yourself money at the same time.
Yeah, they had no warranty, right? No warranty for their work completed. They fired one of their general contractors about halfway through because the guy wasn't showing up. Well, no shit, you shouldn't have hired the guy anyway, right? You want to be the Monolongos of property management or landlording. That's not going to get you anywhere. You've all heard of Armando Montalongo. If you ever watched his show, he is notoriously cheap. I mean, he would talk somebody down off the cost of a pen to try and get a deal. So maybe he's a good guy in the investor channel world, but as far as reputation, that does not how you want to be perceived, because how are you going to get them to work for you for the next time? That's the other problem. And the other side of that is the warranty side. So if something were to go wrong in that make ready, what can we do about it? Hey, wasn't our job, wasn't our vendor, wasn't our subs, wasn't our responsibility. That's all on you. And we're sorry. We can make the repair, but it's going to cost you double to fix it because we have to go back and fix what you screwed up in the beginning.
Absolutely. And now it's no longer that streamlined, efficient process. Things are happening all out of order. Everything's all out of whack. That's pretty good. So let's get into one class even lower, man. Give me what's the worst of the worst? What are the C-class landlords? I want my audience to really be able to watch this and know oh man, am I a C-class landlord? What is it and why is it so bad?
Expanding your real estate holdings to multiple markets is a great way to reduce your risk. Birmingham, Alabama features an unemployment rate that is well below the national average. In fact, Birmingham's growing tech scene has been highlighted by both Forbes and Barron's. That, coupled with Birmingham's low price-to-rent ratio, is why so many investors from around the U.S. have been flocking to the area to put their money to work. Spartan Invest has helped hundreds of investors successfully buy cash-flowing real estate in Birmingham. With an average tenant stay of 39 months, it's easy to see why Spartan Invest maintains an annual occupancy rate above 95%. To learn more about the turnkey opportunities in Birmingham, Alabama, contact Spartan Invest today at 205-202-4118 or visit them online at spartaninvest.com.
So let's talk reluctant landlords, okay? Reluctant landlords, involuntary landlords, accidental landlords, whatever you want to call them. Around here, we're in Military City, USA. So a lot of folks are military around here. So if they get PCS orders to go to their next duty station, they're leaving out of here within 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. And they get notice and they got to go. So they buy a home. Oh, I got to go. I got to leave. I need to rent it out. They sit on the fence. And I bring that up because by default, they're B-class landlord, in our opinion, because they have no idea what they're doing, right? They could turn into A-class instantly. Hey, we need to do this. We need to do this, do whatever you got to do to make the tenants happy. I'm totally on board with what you guys got to take care of. Or they turn into the C-class. I have no money because I am dirt poor and everything I spend goes to an ex-wife and 6 kids, and I can't even afford this mortgage, but I can't even afford to sell it, right? You get those reluctant landlords that are all of a sudden snatched up for a job offer and they got to move cities, and now they can't even afford the home they're in to even rent it out. They can't afford a vacancy, they can't afford repairs. So the fork in the road by default is that B-class area for these reluctant landlords. They can go either way. But getting into the C-class stuff, these are the folks that shop high and low for the best deal. I mean, they call 10 different companies and they all compare them on price. It comes down to a price comparison. We mentioned that a little bit ago, but you really get into it when the C-class, when they start trying to negotiate you down on price for everything. Well, hey, I own 3 properties. I'm an investor, right? Air quotes. You hear this a lot, right? And since I'm an investor, you need to bend over for me and cut your prices in half because I own 3 homes.
Yep, yep.
I'm gonna tell them, look, guy, we work with owners that have 30 homes and 80 homes, whatever, is in your inventory. So you having 3 is good for you, but it's not rolling out the red carpet for you, Mr. Trump, just yet. We'll get you there. Let us sell you a few more homes. But when you come at us like that, and you're asking for negotiations and discounts up front, it kind of puts you in a weird category. It's okay to ask, but you have to understand this is a business. So if you want us to provide us really good service to you, this is what they want. Everybody wants really good service. Well, it does cost. If you're going to go to a hotel, if you're going to go to a restaurant and they're just Johnny on the spot with the water and Johnny on the spot with this, that, and the other, that's good service. And so some of the landlords don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate we have 24/7 maintenance. They don't appreciate that we have all the systems in place to keep them out of trouble. We have so many insurance levels, it's silly to provide tenants insurance and protect the owners in all of our levels of insurance. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure you could go on and on about this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's great stuff. And it's like a lot of these guys, they don't think of that. And it's almost like when they come at us immediately asking for this, and this, or just, it's like it puts up our defenses. We're kind of like, whoa, hey, buddy, like you're about to waste a lot of my time. And then, we immediately kind of push these folks all the way back to the end of the line. Because I know everybody wants to believe in a fairy tale land that all customers are created equal and a business is going to devote an equal amount of, their attention to every account. And well, let's be honest, man, in the real world, in real business, just like all of my investments don't kick off the same amount of profit for me, not all clients are created equal. And there are some accounts that are just going to be more important to a company than others. So as investors are watching this, how can you get yourself to the top of, your vendors list of priorities, guys? You're not going to make any money working against everyone. You got to align interests at some point, and being a better quality landlord, buying better properties, listening to your property manager, not second guessing them when they're working on your behalf at every single turn is really going to help you. If you're trying to, go cheap, you're really cutting yourself off at the knees, and you're working against yourself. And on almost every situation, the guys that really try to get that cheapest price every time, they end up costing themselves more money. And the folks that are just kind of riding the wave and they know the value of being a good client, letting people do what you've hired them to do, those folks always end up making the most money. Would you say that's correct, Brad?
Totally agree. And another thing I want to throw in there is if landlords understood the value of depreciation and what it can do for you for your tax status, that would quell all these little arguments over $20 and $40 here and there. The magic of depreciation is so hard to quantify because it depends on their specific tax standing. A lot of us can max out depreciation every year because of our tax standing, but it really depends on their individual system or individual status with the IRS and all that other good stuff. But the magic of depreciation is so undervalued and not understood enough that they don't even, it's hard for them to quantify. And if they understood, look, you just depreciated this entire property over 27 years, over this amount, you got this much tax reduced of your income this year because of this rental property, but yet you're trying to screw me over for $5 or $10. It's just, it makes you mad. It makes you, we're controlling one of your most performing assets and helping you build it. So it's almost like if you can break even, you're making it up on the appreciation, and then you're winning in the backside huge on the depreciation. So talking a little bit about C-class stuff that I really, kind of drives me insane is the whole mommy daddy issue, where you get landlords that want to introduce themselves to the tenant. They go,
I hear you.
Property manager. So the property management company goes through the time and effort and trouble to screen them, execute a lease agreement, move them in, hide their owner's information as wherever possible. But yet, as soon as they move in, the owner goes around the property manager and introduces himself to the tenant. If there's any problem, please feel free to call me. Here's my personal cell phone. And what does that create? It creates a mommy-daddy issue. Tenant calls up the property manager. Hey, it's Thanksgiving. I can't pay rent on December 1st. Is it okay? No, says the property manager. No, it's not okay. Then they call the landlord, the owner. Oh, Mr. Owner, my baby dog died, and this, that, and the other, and my dog ate my homework, and I can't pay rent on the 1st of December. It's Thanksgiving evening. I know you're having turkey. I'm so sorry to call you. And what do they say after 3 bottles of wine? Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll pick it up in January. Okay, that creates a mommy daddy issue that we hate. And if there's a way to quell that, we would, because the landlords that do that are only hurting themselves. And let me say that again. You're shaking your head. You should really say that again too. The landlords that are allowing that are only hurting themselves.
Absolutely. That is probably one of the biggest pet peeves that we have here at HoltonWise. It's interesting, guys. Like, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. He is in Texas, right? Are there really any two further away in differing areas besides Cleveland, Ohio and Austin, Texas? I mean, not really, right? We're pretty damn far from each other. But yet, almost everything that Brad is saying is something that my company has personally experienced, guys. So this advice, this is going to work for you nationwide, okay? And another thing with this mommy daddy issue that is created when you introduce yourself to the tenants, you're cutting off the authority of the landlord, who is only putting up that firm stance in your benefit. A big, huge benefit to hiring a property manager is you don't have to be the bad guy. You could allow us to be the bad guy. I'll put a link to this in the show notes, but I know a lot of you have watched that video where I explained the story how a tenant of mine actually found out where my personal residence was and attempted to burn it down. If this is the first time you're hearing one of my videos and you haven't seen that, in the show notes, there'll be a link to that video. But, we're insulating you from that type of exposure. And we're not putting you in the position where you are 3 bottles of wine deep at Thanksgiving and you're having a good time, you're with family, it's the holidays, you're feeling generous, because when the tenant doesn't pay rent, like guys like me and Brad, we're still getting paid. Guys, we're providing you a service. We're charging you for that service. So it's not coming out of our pocket. It's coming out of your pocket because you're the one who's going to miss that rent. Because look, you don't build large property management businesses like we've done if you don't know what we're doing. We're doing this stuff in your best interest because when the client makes more money, the client's happier with the services, and then it grows me and Brad's businesses. Go ahead.
Let's talk about rent collection, because I really want to go in there a little bit. A lot of landlords think they can just collect rent with no problem. Oh, it's easy. They'll just pay me on time and I won't have to chase them. We regiment and we have a 0 tolerance policy. So if they haven't paid rent by the 4th, we're sending out a notice to vacate. If they haven't ponied up and paid 2 days later, we file the eviction of the court. No exceptions. Fair housing laws do not allow us to show favoritism, because favoritism is discrimination. So we don't waive late fees and we don't deviate from that timeline. If we have to, we file the eviction. All of our tenants know this. And when they get spanked with a late fee one time or get filed with the eviction one time, they realize they can't mess with us. If you let them walk all over you, self-managing landlords, they will do it. People will take advantage of you. You pay late on the 4th 1 month, and then it's the 5th the next month, and the 6th, and then it's going to be the 15th. And then you're going to be knocking on the door on the 20th, begging them to pay you rent. When you don't do anything about it, that's where they start to walk all over you and take advantage. We don't allow it to happen at all. It's regimented, 0 tolerance policy, and we have it. So it's, systemized. You got to understand, we have it systemized to where the emails go out, the text messages, the certified mail, and the mail go out on the 4th when they don't pay rent. It is like clockwork, okay? And so, yeah, you get people that get the text messages, they call us up, they pay the next day, they come in, certified funds and all that stuff, and they pay. And it works like that. So that's one thing that property managers, a good one, will do for the landlords, is ensure that your rent is collected, because we make the effort to go and chase it, and then we are sort of the punching bag for it. So if you want to talk punching bag, let's talk about reviews. You mentioned that earlier. I'd like to maybe brief on that a little bit.
Well, real quick, before we get into reviews, I want to piggyback off of something you said, because that resonates, man. That's just a freaking amazing message. And in case investors didn't catch it, or it's just so damn good, we really got to emphasize this, guys. Like the mommy daddy issue, okay, that's one thing. And this all ties back into Brad's grading, right? When you're a property manager, we're running a business ourselves, right? When you are a small mom and pop landlord, in your head, it might make sense to allow that tenant to pay rent a little bit later, because you're thinking about that cost, that eviction cost. And you're like, I don't want to spend that. I don't want to do a turnover. Maybe they'll pay. Number one, they probably won't. If they don't pay on time, they're probably not paying, and you're just delaying the inevitable, creating more costs for yourself. That's number one. But number two, and it goes back to Brad's grading scale, you have to make your vendors happy. You have to make your vendors money so they can make you money. Now, you take RentWerx or you take HoltonWise, okay? Brad, I think he said runs somewhere around 800 units. Is that correct? About 800 units in the Texas market? Austin and San Antonio market, right? About 800?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And we're running roughly around 1,000, maybe 1,100 or so up here in the Cleveland market. So even though you only have one or two properties, something that you're not even thinking about is something that we have to be cognizant of. Okay. And that's our brand awareness in the marketplace. If I have 1,000 units and the word gets around my community that, oh, if you don't pay your rent to HoltonWise, they will immediately boot your ass out. What do you think that does, guys? That puts the word out there in the marketplace to all the tenants. Oh, you live in a HoltonWise property? Oh, yeah, dude, you got to pay your rent or your ass is getting tossed in the street. If you come to your property manager and try to get them to deviate from their normal policies, let tenants slide, word's going to get around in the marketplace that HoltonWise or RentWerx, oh, it's okay. They'll send you that notice, but they really won't evict you. You don't have to pay them rent. Well, now that's created that out there in the marketplace, and tenants think, oh, I don't really have to pay rent. So by us having these policies, it goes back again. It's to make you money, guys. Everyone knows that when we put out an eviction notice, we're going to follow through on it. No questions asked. And what does that do for you? It means that when you hire us, you hire our brand, people know they have to pay. Why do people pay more money for a Rolex than a Timex? Because that Rolex brand, that's quality. People pay for that name. They know what that's associated with. You associate yourself with HoltonWise, RentWerx, or any other large management company that has these systems in place. People know it's either pay or get the hell out.
When you get to scale and have, 3, 4, 5, 30 properties that you run as an investor, it's just almost impossible to do that without actually hiring somebody to do it for you. Even if you want to get to 20, 30, 40 units, that's when you start doing it in-house, but then you're going to screw it up. I mean, because people think that they can in-house. So you see this all the time with the REOs, where they have 1,000 properties and then they outsource it to you or I for 6 months or a year, steal all of our systems, and then they try to do it themselves. And even though they're a big corporate entity, they're not doing it very well, because they just don't have the experience, don't have the staffing, don't have the systems in place. And lots of, that's an overused term, but just like I mentioned, the notice to vacate system we have is all done through HubSpot. I mean, it's all regimented through our systems, through our Appfolio, which is our property management software system. We have Outlook. We have attorneys on hand to file the eviction. I mean, attorneys are on retainer. I mean, they answer our phone when we call them. That's what I mean. Those are the types of systems that we have that you just can't get as a do-it-yourself landlord.
No, absolutely not. And another thing with the reviews, you wanted to touch on those reviews. What were you going to say about the reviews? I want to hear your take on reviews, because I mentioned earlier, people sometimes when they come up to us, they'll be like, oh, I saw that you had X, Y, and Z bad reviews from your tenants. I don't want you to treat my tenants bad. But honestly, anytime we treat a tenant in what the tenant perceives as bad, it's in an effort to enforce the lease terms, right? Where Mr. Landlord might be a pushover, and we just obviously explain why that doesn't work. What have your experience has been with like Google reviews and things of that nature being a middleman?
Absolutely. So the problem with those types of reviews is you end up being the punching bag. And you could take the attitude that you should wear that like a badge of honor. Any of your bad reviews coming from tenants, you should be able to show a landlord, potential do-it-yourself landlord, like, hey, look, we're taking the abuse for you by doing our job, and we can handle it. We're adults, we're grown up. They're not mentioning my kids or your kids, for example. They just hate us. They hate our staff. They hate our name, whatever. They want to hate on us because we held $5 back of their security deposit. We enforce them to pay their rent on time. We don't run out there with a parachute in with a special forces team to fix a hole in the ceiling that can wait till they come in, right? There's certain things that just never need to be done right on the spot, because we're trying to make a happy medium between providing the owners a very good service, saving them money, and then also making a good way for the tenants to go through to have good quality housing with somebody that's going to respond to them. The tenants don't realize that we work a little bit for them. Okay, we want renewals, meaning we want to keep them happy, which means we will execute work orders and we will get things done as quickly and fastly as well as we can do them, but we are humans. So the review part is almost like, if you get bad reviews, it's like, yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're here to be your buffer. But then also you're going to find the owners and the tenants that want to use that review process as blackmail. Hey,
Yeah.
James, James, if you don't give me that security deposit back, I'm going to leave you a 1-star review and ruin your life.
Oh yeah, you get those threats all the time. And again, like that was honestly like some of that was what inspired me to start putting out the Tenants from Hell content, which has just exploded on the internet since then. But like you'll get all these tenants to leave you these reviews like, oh, they stole my deposit, this or that, and then we'll go to their unit and then their toilet looks like this toilet that you see on the screen right here. And like people, if they didn't see what I've just shown you with the toilet that you're looking at right now, most people would not have assumed that any human being, adult human being, would come from a property and do that to a toilet or a bathroom. So that's why we really started putting that out there. We really wanted to just like show investors, landlords, the general public, show everybody what the real estate business really entails. Because, you get a lot of gurus out there online. Now, you had mentioned Armando, right? The original guru. You get a lot of guys out there, and they're just letting everybody think it's bikinis, girls in bikinis, jets, Lamborghinis, spend a little bit of money in real estate, you get rich. But the business, man, it's a savage, savage business. And it's my mission to give everybody a true and accurate representation of what it's really like to be an investor. And, Brad, you got this badass guide. I pretty much agreed with everything. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to get this guy on the show. I need to talk about him, talk to him about this guide and all that. I want to talk quickly about your company, Property Management Mastermind. It sounds like you kind of created Property Management Mastermind for some of the same reasons that I created my Tenants from Hell show, or I've put so much footage about my daily life on this YouTube channel. Was it pretty much to really just get the word out, like what people are really dealing with?
We created it to better the industry. I have a podcast show. We're up to episode 70 now. All those episodes are meant to enhance and improve property management company owners, making their businesses better. We also help create the NARPM accounting standard, which is basically an accounting standard that property management company owners can use to ensure that we all get on the same page. It just goes along the same lines of GAAP. You've probably heard of GAAP, the General Accepted Accounting Practices. So a lot of these things we've helped create. And then now we're also starting to put on an annual conference. So that's going to be happening in 2020. We'll do an annual conference every year for property managers. And it's going to improve the industry as a whole, because we think if we can improve the industry as a whole, more self-managing landlords will come to us for services. And you're also going to see what's going to happen is more regulations will start popping up, such as what we saw in Oregon, such as what we're seeing in some of those counties in LA and San Francisco.
Real quick, for everybody who doesn't know, what Brad's referencing, they are trying to do, or they did do, I believe, statewide rental control in Oregon, correct?
That's right, statewide. I mean, just think about that, statewide rent control, where the state representatives come in and say, yeah, this is a good idea for the entire state, not downtown Portland, right? The whole state. I can't imagine, I bet they're just fit to be tied for most of the landlords there. But what that does is it creates opportunities for landlord to start working with property managers to shield them from this, because there are certain things that they should do. It does make property management company owners a little bit more alluring to build up their companies when there's state control, rent control, state managed rent control. Parallel. You ever heard anything about Australian property management?
G'day everyone, it's Angela Remora here, your favorite Australian and the founder and owner of Ohio Cashflow. Over the last 5 years, Ohio Cashflow has established itself as the most reputable turnkey real estate investment company in the country. We offer solid B-class properties in Toledo, Ohio. We work and live in the same areas that we sell in, so when we sell your property, your tenants become our neighbors. We only take on a handful of investors every month, so for your chance to work with one of the best in the business, please fill out our investor application form, which you can find in the video notes below. Thanks for listening, and as we say down under, I'll catch you later, mate.
Okay, so in Australia, they almost like a bizarro world. They have a flip there. So what we have roughly in the States is maybe 30%, 35% penetration into the self-managing individual property owner market, basically the DIY landlords. We're only getting into that maybe 30 to 35% of density there. Australia's flipped. 70 or 80% use a property manager over there. 70 or 80%. If you're at a mixer and there's 5 landlords and you're the one person that doesn't use a property manager, they look at you like there's something growing out of your head. Like, what's wrong with you? Because they're so tenant friendly in that entire country that they don't really have a choice. They can't charge tenants anything. They can barely do evictions. They, can't charge application fees. I mean, they just have a bizarro world over there, but it creates an opportunity for property managers to be really, really, really good. And so I don't think this is going to necessarily happen in the States anytime soon, but it's drifting. Everything that happens on the left coast drifts east. And so we're going to start to see very liberal cities to pass some of these things that are going to be scary in effect, but it's going to make property management companies get better at what they do, because I think landlords are going to be turning to us more.
Okay, and that's, like you said, that's pretty much the entire gist of Property Management Mastermind, a place for other management companies to come together, learn from one another, constantly, rise the tide, rise our level of service that we're providing to the general public.
That's it. That's correct. Because we want to make the whole industry better. We've got a lot of products and services that are out there to improve that. And we also put on, again, the conferences, and I've gone on presentations a lot, and I talk about how to make a better company, providing a better service. You provide a better service, you're going to get more clients, and you're also going to retain the good ones. That's what you want.
All right, guys, that is everything we've got with Brad. Again, a special thanks to Brad. All of Brad's contact information is going to be in those show notes below. If you want to join PropertyManagementMastermind.com, take a look at his other business, RentWerx. All of that information, even go to his conference, all of that information is going to be in those show notes below. We've heard from Brad. Now I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about what Brad said? I know you guys are watching this channel from all over the world. Look yourself in the mirror and tell me, what kind of a landlord, what kind of a property owner are you? Are you an A-class landlord, a B-class landlord, or are you a landlord from hell? Are you, in fact, a C-class landlord? Do you agree or disagree with what Brad and I said during that interview? Let me know in those comments below. And most importantly, if this is the first video you've ever seen, or maybe you've already seen our videos, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, and smash that subscribe, like, or share button. That is everything I've got for you guys today. I am James Wise with HoltonWise, and this is Real Estate Investing Made Easy.
Widely considered to be one of the top rental markets in the entire United States. This is because here in Cleveland, our housing prices are low and our rental prices and demand are high. At HoltonWise, we provide the complete turnkey solution for all real estate investors, whether they are local, out of state, or even abroad. As real estate brokers, we will provide you with agent representation to help you buy properties ranging from single-family homes to large apartment complexes. We even have referrals for lenders who can provide investment property loans to investors located in all 50 states, allowing you to capitalize on the use of leverage or other people's money. We have referrals to top-notch title companies, so you know that all of your transactions are safe and secure, with every single property being delivered to you with clear title. Once you close on the property, we have an investor-focused insurance brokerage who can handle all your property insurance needs. This insurance brokerage handles auto, home, life, and business policies, but they specialize in working with policies for landlords. We also have full-service property management. We can handle all rental property advertisements, tenant placement, rent collection, evictions, maintenance, landscaping, construction, and repairs. In addition, HoltonWise also offers digital media and education. One day, when you are ready to sell your investment, HoltonWise, as the #1 seller of investment properties in the greater Cleveland area, can market your property in a video just like this one to our worldwide base of investors who are looking to capitalize on the high cash flow opportunities in the Cleveland, Ohio market. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our latest content, including video tours and analysis of investment properties that are available for sale, real estate investment education, and our most interesting encounters with tenants from hell. HoltonWise, real estate investing made easy.